Have you ever noticed how the guy who just buys a boring index fund and forgets about it often ends up with more money than the friend who's glued to financial news all day? It sounds completely counterintuitive, doesn't it? Well, it turns out there's a shocking truth lurking in the market. The so-called dumbest investors, the ones who aren't trying to outsmart everyone, frequently build more wealth over time than the experts frantically trading. They somehow bypass the anxiety and analysis paralysis that trips up so many smart people. Think about it, the nervous investor who constantly tinkers with their portfolio, selling in a panic at the first sign of a dip and then buying back in after a surge, is their own worst enemy. They're churning their own hard-earned money, paying fees, and stressing themselves out, all for returns that often lag behind the simple set-it-and-forget-it approach. This isn't about having a rich uncle or a secret formula. It's about a behavioral edge. The dumb strategy of consistent, long-term investing in broad market funds avoids these costly emotional mistakes entirely. So if doing less actually leads to more wealth, what does that say about intelligence? It forces us to completely redefine what being smart in the market even means. Perhaps true brilliance isn't about complex algorithms or predicting the future, but about mastering your own impulses. This simple shift in perspective, from trying to beat the market to simply participating in its growth, might be the most valuable insight for anyone looking to build genuine wealth. It begs the question, what does it really mean to be a dumb investor, and could that be the smartest move of all? Have you ever watched someone who barely checks their portfolio end up with more money than the frantic day trader glued to 6 screens? It seems to defy all logic, doesn't it? Well, the market has a wicked sense of humor, often rewarding what looks like ignorance over what's celebrated as brilliance. The so-called dumb investor isn't lacking intelligence. They're just playing a completely different game, one where patience trumps a high IQ every single time. This person might simply invest a set amount into a low-cost index fund every single month, rain or shine, and then, well, that's it. They're not trying to decode the Fed's latest statement or bet on a meme stock. They're just consistently building their stake in the market itself. The frantic smart investor, meanwhile, jumps in and out, chasing hot tips and selling in a panic, their genius strategy evaporating with every transaction fee and poorly timed trade. One is building genuine wealth. The other is just generating a lot of activity and stress. So if this simple, almost robotic approach is so effective, why does almost everyone feel the irresistible urge to outthink it? That's the million-dollar question, and it has very little to do with logic and everything to do with our own psychology. It's a trap we set for ourselves, a story we tell ourselves about being the clever one who saw what everyone else missed, and that story, more often than not, leads directly to the next topic, the psychology of self-sabotage. Have you ever spent hours analyzing charts, convinced you found the next big thing, only to watch it plummet the moment you invest? That frantic urge to outsmart everyone else, to find a secret backdoor to instant wealth, is a trap. It's like a chess player trying to invent a new move every second instead of mastering the fundamentals. They're so busy being clever, they forget how to actually win. This desperate need for a complex strategy, ironically, is what causes the most intelligent people to make the most foolish decisions with their money. Consider the investor who jumps in and out of positions based on every news headline, their portfolio churning like a washing machine. Each transaction feels smart, a clever reaction to the market's mood swings, but all those fees and emotional trades quietly bleed their account dry. They're not building long-term wealth, they're just paying for the thrill of feeling right. Meanwhile, the so-called dumb investor, who simply buys a low-cost index fund and ignores the noise, often ends up significantly richer over time without all the self-inflicted stress. This reveals a painful truth. The market doesn't reward complexity, it punishes impulsiveness. The real secret isn't about having more information, but about having more discipline, a quality that has nothing to do with a high IQ and everything to do with emotional control. And this very lack of control often stems from a misplaced confidence, a belief that we know more than we actually do, a dangerous illusion that perfectly sets the stage for our next discussion on the Dunning-Kruger effect in investing. Have you ever met someone who just started investing and suddenly became an expert on everything from crypto to commodities? They talk a big game, convinced they've cracked the code. This, unfortunately, is the Dunning-Kruger effect in full swing, a cognitive trap where a little knowledge creates a dangerous illusion of vast expertise, making them feel incredibly rich in smarts, but actually setting them up for a major fall. Now picture that same person, armed with confidence and a brokerage account, jumping in and out of stocks based on a hot tip from a friend. They mistake a lucky break for skill, doubling down on risky bets. The brutal truth is, the market doesn't care about your confidence, it humbles everyone. This overconfidence doesn't just lead to a few bad trades, it systematically erodes real wealth, turning a potential fortune into a series of expensive lessons. So if thinking you're a genius is the problem, what's the solution? It's the startling realization that the so-called dumbest investors, the ones who simply don't try to outsmart everyone, often come out ahead. They avoid this trap entirely. Their strategy isn't fueled by ego or the pursuit of quick money, but by a humble, almost passive approach that, ironically, requires a much deeper understanding of how markets truly work. This leads us to a powerful, counterintuitive truth about the simplicity that actually wins. Have you ever noticed how the so-called dumbest investors, the ones who just buy and forget, often end up with the most money? It seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? Well, the shocking truth is that this passive approach, the simple buy-and-hold strategy, frequently outperforms the frantic efforts of active traders. It's like the tortoise and the hare, where slow and steady, surprisingly, wins the wealth race. Think about it, an investor who bought and simply held a low-cost index fund tracking the S&P 500 decades ago would be sitting on a mountain of money today, despite all the market crashes and headlines that would have scared an active trader into selling. They aren't trying to outsmart the market, they're just riding its long-term upward trend. This incredible patience allows their returns to compound, quietly building a level of wealth that active traders can only dream of. They don't need to be geniuses, they just need to be consistent. So while everyone else is frantically analyzing charts and stressing over daily fluctuations, the dumb investor's simplicity is their greatest strength. Their strategy isn't fueled by ego or the illusion of control, which is why it works so darn well. This peaceful approach, however, stands in stark contrast to a far more common struggle. What happens when an investor has all the information but can't seem to pull the trigger? When the desire to be perfectly right creates a prison of hesitation. That's the tyranny of paralysis by analysis. Have you ever found yourself with so many charts, so much data, and so many conflicting opinions that you just freeze? You're not alone. This is the tyranny of paralysis by analysis, a fancy term for getting so lost in the details that you forget to actually make a move. It's like trying to pick the perfect stock with a mountain of research, only to watch its price soar while you're still reading the 10th analyst report. Consider the investor who spends months trying to time the market perfectly, waiting for that elusive, right moment to buy. Meanwhile, someone else simply puts their money into a low-cost index fund every single month, rain or shine. The first person is chasing perfect information. The second is building genuine wealth through consistent action. One is stuck in theory, the other is thriving in practice. This constant hesitation doesn't just cost you potential gains, it costs you peace of mind. The real secret isn't about having all the answers, it's about having a simple, robust plan and sticking to it. And that very inability to commit, that overthinking, leads us directly to the next big trap even the smartest people fall into. Have you ever wondered why some of the most brilliant minds often stumble in the stock market, while others, who seem to do almost nothing, quietly build incredible wealth? It's a paradox that baffles many, but the answer lies not in intelligence, but in behavior. The intelligent investor, armed with charts and forecasts, often falls prey to the costly illusion that they can outsmart everyone else. They chase performance, hopping into the latest hot stock, and attempt to time the market perfectly, all in a frantic pursuit of more money. Consider the all-too-common scenario of an investor moving their entire portfolio into a fund because it had a spectacular year, only to watch it stagnate the next. This is performance chasing in action, a behavioral bias that assumes past winners will always keep winning, a surefire way to destroy long-term wealth. Or picture the individuals who, fearing a downturn, pulls all their money out of the market, waiting for the perfect moment to get back in. By the time they feel safe, they've often missed the best days of the recovery, proving that market timing is a fool's errand that even the rich can't master consistently. So if the path to true wealth isn't through complex strategies, what's the alternative? It requires a humble acceptance that the market is unpredictable and a disciplined focus on what you can control, your own behavior and costs. This simple, almost dumb approach of staying the course, ironically, is what separates the genuinely rich from those constantly chasing money. And if you think that sounds too simple to be true, just wait until you see the real-world proof from some of the most unexpected winners in market history. Have you ever noticed how some folks, who seem to do the least, somehow end up with the most? It's downright baffling. Consider the story of Ronald Read, a janitor and gas station attendant who quietly amassed a fortune of over $8 million. He wasn't a Wall Street whiz, he just bought companies he understood and held on to them forever. His simple, almost naive strategy built a staggering level of *** wealth that eluded far more intelligent traders. Now let's look at the contemporary equivalent, the infamous Investor B from a major study who only traded when they transferred jobs, otherwise forgetting their account existed. This person, by doing practically nothing, outperformed nearly every active trader in the study. Their inaction shielded them from emotional decisions, turning a modest portfolio into a genuinely **rich **1. They proved that the real *** money isn't made in the frantic buying and selling, but in the patient waiting, in the strategic stillness that so many mistake for stupidity. So what's the secret thread connecting these unexpected winners? It wasn't a higher IQ or a secret algorithm, it was a behavioral advantage. They mastered their own psychology, not the market's. This principle, this powerful form of strategic simplicity, is actually something you can learn and apply yourself. And that's precisely what we'll unpack next, how you can adopt these very principles to build your own lasting *** wealth, without the constant stress of trying to outsmart everyone in the room. Have you ever noticed how some folks seem to stumble into incredible success, almost by accident? They aren't the ones glued to financial news or frantically trading. In fact, they often appear a little out of the loop. This isn't just luck, it's a brilliant form of strategic ignorance. They understand that constantly chasing hot tips is a surefire way to lose real *** wealth **, so they simply stop listening to the noise. Think about the investor who just buys a low-cost index fund tracking the entire market and then, well, forgets about it. They're not trying to outsmart anyone, they're just riding the overall growth of human innovation. This approach, dull as it may seem, quietly builds serious ** money * over decades because it avoids the costly mistakes of overthinking and emotional reactions. It's like planting a tree, you don't pull it up every week to check the roots. Now, this doesn't mean being careless with your capital. Oh no, it's about being fiercely intentional with your attention. The strategically stupid person knows that their mental energy is a form of ** rich ** ease, too, so they guard it fiercely. By deliberately not knowing every little market fluctuation, they free up their mind for things that truly matter, building a life that is genuinely ** rich * in time and peace, not just in numbers on a screen. Have you ever noticed that the most unassuming investors, the ones who barely check their portfolios, often seem to end up with the most staggering returns? It feels counterintuitive, doesn't it? While everyone else is frantically buying and selling, trying to outsmart the system, these individuals simply set a course and stick to it. Their secret isn't a complex algorithm, it's the profound understanding that true wealth isn't built through constant effort, but through consistent, intelligent inaction. Think about the person who automatically invests in a low-cost index fund every single month, no matter what the headlines scream. They aren't trying to pick the next big winner, they're just capturing the entire market's growth over time. This disciplined, almost passive approach avoids the costly mistakes of emotional trading, selling in a panic, or buying into a hype bubble. That steady, boring strategy, ironically, is what builds serious money and compounds into real financial freedom, turning modest contributions into a fortune, while others are just spinning their wheels. So what's the real takeaway here? It's that the pursuit of more effort, more analysis, and more control often leads to less return. The market rewards patience and discipline far more than it does a high IQ or a fancy strategy. By embracing a simpler path, you're not being lazy, you're being shrewd, allowing the powerful engine of compounding to work its magic on your money. This foundational shift in thinking is the first step toward not just building wealth, but keeping it. What if the smartest move you could make was to stop trying to be so clever? It sounds completely backwards, but the market has a cruel sense of humor. While experts are frantically analyzing charts and predicting the next big thing, a group of so-called dumb investors is quietly building real wealth. They aren't reading the latest financial news or trying to outsmart the system. They're simply following a boring, almost effortless path. Consider the classic tale of two investors. One constantly buys and sells, chasing hot tips and trying to time the market perfectly. The other, perhaps seen as less sophisticated, just consistently buys a low-cost index fund like the S&P 500 and forgets about it. Over a long enough timeline, the dumb strategy of consistent, passive investing almost always wins. The expert's activity creates fees, taxes, and costly emotional mistakes, while the simple approach compounds in silence. This isn't about luck, it's about a different kind of intelligence. It's the wisdom to understand that the market's noise is a siren song leading most people astray. So what does it really mean to be a dumb investor in a world that celebrates complexity? It might just be the highest form of financial savvy, a quiet rebellion against the idea that winning requires a constant, frantic effort. It means embracing a kind of intellectual humility, recognizing that the market is an unpredictable beast far bigger than any single person's brainpower. This dumb investor isn't ignorant, they're consciously choosing to ignore the deafening noise that trips up everyone else. They understand that their greatest edge isn't a complex algorithm, but their own disciplined behavior, something most clever people lose in the heat of the moment. It's about playing a different game entirely, one where the goal is consistent participation, not brilliant prediction. Think of Warren Buffett's advice to just keep buying an S&P 500 index fund, a move many pros would dismiss as too simple. Or consider the real-life example of Ronald Read, a janitor who amassed millions not by picking stocks, but by steadily buying and holding quality companies for decades. The practical application is stunningly straightforward. Set up automatic monthly contributions to a broad market ETF, and then, well, go live your life. The consequence of this inaction is a portfolio that grows with the entire market, free from the emotional whiplash of trying to beat it. This redefines intelligence from being about what you know to how you behave. It's the savvy recognition that the real battle isn't on the trading floor, but inside your own head against fear and greed. So while the financial world screams for your attention with breaking news and can't-miss opportunities, the dumb investor just smiles, knowing their quiet strategy is the ultimate rebellion. This profound shift in perspective begs the deeper question: what does it truly mean to be intelligent in a game where overthinking is the greatest liability? Yet this path of inaction is perhaps the most difficult skill to master. The siren song of a sure thing or the panic of a crashing headline is incredibly powerful. It preys on the very human desire to do something, to feel in control when everything seems chaotic. This is where the clever investor's greatest weakness is exposed: their own mind. Consider the investor who sells during a dip, locking in losses, only to miss the inevitable recovery. Or the one who chases a hot stock tip, buying high just before it corrects. These aren't failures of analysis, but of psychology. The practical antidotes: write an investment plan that dictates actions during downturns and stick to it, removing emotion from the equation. The consequence of ignoring this is a portfolio that constantly underperforms due to costly, emotionally timed moves. This sets the stage for a far more intriguing puzzle than any stock chart. It reveals that the market's most dangerous traps are not set on Wall Street, but are wired into our own DNA, prompting a crucial exploration into the psychology of self-sabotage and how trying to outsmart the market leads to harmful decisions. This is where the Dunning-Kruger effect waltzes in, a psychological blind spot where a little knowledge becomes a very dangerous thing. An investor might read a few articles, experience a lucky win, and suddenly feels like a market whisperer. This overconfidence is a siren's call, convincing them they've cracked the code when they've merely glimpsed the first page. They mistake their 4,047th hour of experience for true mastery, not realizing how much they still have to learn. They might then pour their savings into a complex cryptocurrency or options trade they barely understand, mistaking recklessness for genius. The consequence is a brutal lesson in humility, as the market swiftly corrects their self-assessment. The practical antidote is to consciously assume you know less than you do, embracing a student's mindset forever. A simple rule. If you can't explain an investment to a 10-year-old, you probably shouldn't own it. This humbling journey from perceived expert to perpetual student is what separates the fortunate from the foolish. It proves that the first step to becoming a smarter investor is admitting you might not be as clever as you think. And this realization is the critical gateway to understanding why overconfidence is perhaps the most dangerous trap of all. Yet the market has a deliciously ironic sense of humor, often rewarding the so-called dumb money over the frantic genius. These investors aren't trying to outsmart the system, they're simply letting it work for them. Their secret weapon isn't intelligence but inaction, a strategy that sidesteps the emotional whirlwind of fear and greed. They understand that the real game isn't beating the market, but patiently participating in its long-term growth. Consider the tortoise and the hare, a fable that plays out on the trading floor every single day. While the active trader, the hare, exhausts himself with complex charts and frantic buys and sells, the passive investor, the tortoise, just plods along. He might simply buy a low-cost index fund that tracks the entire S&P 500, like the VOO or SPY, and then do nothing. He isn't chasing headlines or timing the market. He's building wealth quietly, one compounding return at a time, immune to the noise that trips up everyone else. This set-it-and-forget-it approach isn't a lack of strategy, it's the ultimate strategy of discipline. It frees you from the need to be a market whisperer, and instead lets you become a market owner. And that subtle, powerful shift in perspective is the shocking truth that paves the way for the simplest win of all. But here's the cruel twist. That same hunger for knowledge can become a cage. The would-be investor, armed with endless data and conflicting opinions, finds themselves frozen at the starting line. They're waiting for the perfect moment, the flawless signal that never actually comes. This is the tyranny of paralysis by analysis, where the quest for certainty guarantees only one thing: inaction. They devour every financial news headline, chart every possible technical indicator, and seek counsel from a dozen different gurus. The result: they're so terrified of making a wrong move that they make no move at all, watching potential gains march on without them. It's like a chef who studies every recipe but never actually turns on the stove, starving amidst a feast of information. They forget that a good plan executed now is better than a perfect plan executed never. This overthinking is the quiet thief of opportunity, robbing more portfolios than any market crash ever could. It feeds on the fear of regret and the illusion of control, creating a hesitation that compounds as surely as interest. And it sets the stage for the next great obstacle every investor must face: the exhausting chase for a perfect entry point that doesn't exist. This intellectual cage, however, is just the beginning of a much deeper behavioral trap. The intelligent investor, convinced they can outsmart the crowd, often falls for the siren song of market timing. They watch a stock like Apple climb and think, "I'll just wait for a tiny pullback to get in," not realizing they're waiting for a train that's already left the station. This futile attempt to pinpoint the absolute bottom or top is a fool's errand that costs more in lost gains than any minor dip saves. And then there's the dangerous habit of chasing performance, hopping into whatever fund or asset class just had its moment in the sun. It's like buying a winter coat in July because it was on sale, completely ignoring the coming season. They see their neighbor's Tesla investment double and FOMO kicks in, leading them to buy high precisely when they should be thinking twice. This reactive strategy ensures they're always late to the party, left holding the bag when the music stops. So while they're busy trying to be the smartest person in the room, the so-called dumb investor is quietly building wealth through simple, boring index funds. They understand that time in the market will always beat timing the market, a truth that remains stubbornly simple. This sets up the ultimate irony, that the greatest threat to a portfolio isn't a lack of intelligence, but the behavioral biases that cleverness itself creates. And that leads us directly to the most common pitfall of all. History is littered with the ghosts of brilliant strategists who were outlasted by those who simply stayed the course. Consider the dot-com bust, where day traders with complex algorithms were wiped out, while a school teacher who forgot about her S&P 500 index fund saw it all recover and soar. Or the 2008 crisis, where the smart money was selling in a panic, and the dumb money that kept buying low-cost ETFs eventually reaped a fortune. These aren't flukes, they're a predictable pattern of patience trumping panic. The practical application is almost insultingly simple: automate it. Setting up a monthly automatic transfer into a broad market fund like VOO or VTI is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it wealth-building hack. It removes emotion from the equation, ensuring you're consistently buying regardless of the market's mood swings. This boring strategy, championed by legends like John Bogle, effectively makes market timing irrelevant. You're not buying a dip or a peak, you're buying time itself. This undeniable evidence sets the stage for a revelation that turns conventional wisdom on its head. The real-world proof isn't found in complex theories, but in the stunning success stories of the most unlikely people. To truly grasp this, we must look at the case studies, the unexpected winners whose stories provide the final, irrefutable nail in the coffin for the myth of the clever investor. So what's their secret? It isn't genius, it's a form of deliberate, strategic ignorance. They've mastered the art of not reacting, of turning off the financial news and letting their automated plan do the heavy lifting. This strategic stupidity is, ironically, the highest form of smart. Implementing it means embracing a few non-negotiable rules. First, automate your contributions to a low-cost fund, making your future self a forced saver. Second, delete the trading apps and stop checking your portfolio daily. Out of sight truly is out of mind. This isn't about being passive. It's about being disciplined enough to let compounding work its 59-36-day magic without your interference. Therefore, the path to real wealth isn't paved with complex charts, but with simple, almost boring habits. It's about understanding that the market's noise is a siren song leading most investors astray. Now let's break down exactly how to adopt this powerful mindset of strategic stupidity and make it work for you. So in the end, the math is brutally simple, yet incredibly kind to those who get out of their own way. The investor who forgets they even own an S&P 500 index fund will almost always outperform the one who watches the ticker tape like a hawk. It's the ultimate financial paradox: the less you fiddle, the more your money grows. This isn't a theory, it's the cold, hard reality of how compounding works when left undisturbed. Think of it like planting a single acorn and then refusing to dig it up every week to check on the roots. That tiny seed, ignored for decades, becomes a mighty oak without any further effort. Your automated investment is that acorn, your patience is the soil and sun. The dumb investor wins because they never uproot the sapling, while the smart one, in their frantic search for a faster-growing tree, never lets anything take hold. They trade the monumental, guaranteed gain of a century for the fleeting thrill of a possible penny. This quiet strategy builds a fortune not through intense action, but through profound inaction. It's the ultimate long game, where the real returns are measured in peace of mind as much as in dollars and cents. The shocking truth is that winning requires surrendering the illusion of control and embracing the power of simplicity. And that's precisely what we'll recap next: why doing less is the smartest effort you'll ever make.